Meet Vladimir Putin. I have had this request. I can't tell you the number of times people have seen things that we've done, and in the chat line they'll put, yeah, can you read old Vlad? It's hard to be intellectually honest when you don't really care for someone. I don't really care for this guy. I'll explain the reasons why as we go along here, but I'm still going to try to read the face with some kind of intellectual honesty. So 9 face shapes, an absolute classic iron face. Very square, very Winston Churchill kind of face. They're strong, they're stable, they're stubborn. Give them a job, they're going to get it done. Persevere, diplomatic, take it to the end in things they're interested in. Now, if they're not interested, screw it. They don't want anything to do with it. So very, very classic iron face. Right and left eye is always very revealing. The right eye is what we show to the world, our public persona, our mother's influence. The left is our true and our private self, and it's our father's influence. So if you cover up this guy's left eye, what you'll see in that right eye, he is extremely intense, uncomfortably so. Now, the problem is when you cover up the right eye and look at the left eye, that's an uncaring eye, not a trait you want in a leader. Now, let me explain a couple of other things that help you understand why I'm not a big fan of this guy. Look, we all got an opinion of him, and most of us in the States don't have a positive opinion of him, obviously. But his cheeks are very flat. So you see this so commonly in iron faces and so commonly in politicians. And ironically, when you have flat cheeks, it indicates you resist authority. Here are people in authority and they resist it. Can be really moody. Notice the big indentation in his right cheek. This is a grief-stricken kind of thing. Something happened that caused a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, and a lot of despair. And it's something that when you see this, especially when it's as deep as it is, there's just kind of a lack of inner peace, and they tend to be very restless. It's an interesting trait. Also, if you look at my lips, very straight line between the lips. His is kind of wavy. So a straight line means you're a straight talker. Therefore, wavy lines indicate you don't tell the truth. Now, there's sometimes the diagnostic indicator is what should be there and isn't. And that has to do with these lines right here. They're called falling lines. Mine are as deep as you'll see in a human being. Falling means purpose, and it means spiritual strength. I know my purpose. I know why I've been put here. I know what I'm supposed to do with it. And I am incredibly great spiritual depth in my soul. It's a very important part of who I am. This guy doesn't have falling lines. Now, the time, I think I'm a little older than him. I think he's in his late 60s. I don't think he's hit 70 yet, but you ought to have them. Now, these lines are formed when your purpose is to help mankind. If your purpose is to line your pockets and gain power, you're not going to get these things. My wife showed me a picture comparing him today to him about 20 years ago. He didn't have falling lines then, and he doesn't have them now. And you should get those things. So here's a guy, iron face, strong, stable, stubborn, doesn't tell the truth, has no depth of spiritual strength, and his only purpose is for himself. Let's put him in charge of the country. See how that'll go. Just pathetic. I'll just leave it at that. The corners of the mouth, real coming down in the corner. It's much more greater on that left side. Indicates some sadness. And then his jaws, really strong jaw. Jaws are about determination. Again, that goes with that iron face, very determined. Health-wise, got some intestinal weakness. There's some lines here that kind of drop. That's go across, they kind of droop in the middle. This indicates a prolapse of the transverse colon. There's just a weakness to his intestines. That weakness is usually psychologically put in there. The emotion of the large intestine, when it's deficient, it's drooping, is despair, hopelessness. Interesting. Would like to know more about him on a deeper psychological level. I don't think we're ever going to get to know that. Eyebrows are kind of thin to the outside. This can mean a low thyroid function. It could indicate a lack of sibling support. My guess is he didn't have a lot of sibling support growing up, or he may have a thyroid issue. I don't really know that. So that's Mr. Putin. I hope you retire. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you. Have you enjoyed the faces we've diagnosed thus far? Do you have someone you'd like to see diagnosed? Put it in the comments, and it just might happen. Hope you enjoy.